Alright, so we are going to start our very first notes for math. I am on the first page in my math notebook under our notes section. It should be the first section in your notebook. We always start by writing the date, which is 8/24/2020, and the topic, which is integers, and the number line. This little thing I wrote right here is an and sign. It's called an ampersand. You can write the word and if you don't know how to make an ampersand. With chapter 1, we are going to be comparing the sizes of negative numbers. We are going to use negative numbers in real world problems. We are going to plot negative numbers on a number line and understand that every positive number has a negative opposite. We always begin our notes, unless they're notes that are continuing from something else, we always begin our notes with vocabulary. So even if you know what the word means, we go ahead and write it down anyway. And our first word is integer. Integer. And an integer is a positive or negative number. Actually, a positive or negative whole number. And it includes 0. There are some special rules where our friend 0 doesn't apply. So it's important to know that an integer does include 0. Positive or negative whole number, comma, includes 0. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I put a little line in my Z's because when I am doing math, my 2's and my Z's look the same. You can kind of see here in my 2020 or my 24, my 2's and my Z's look the same. So I put a line through my Z's so my students know that it is a Z and not a 2. All right, our second word is opposite. Opposite integer. And an opposite, that's supposed to be 2 words, by the way. They're kind of close together. Opposite integer is just opposite of a positive number is negative. Opposite of a negative number is positive. And we're going to go ahead and be able to prove that. I'm going to show you how we prove our thinking sometimes. And that is going to be on a number line. Today I am going to use 2 highlighters. You can use highlighters or not. It is up to you. I like to use highlighters just to show things a little bit easier when I'm taking notes. One other thing before I draw our picture, just to note about an opposite integer is that I'm going to put little stars around it. 0 is its own opposite. It doesn't have one because it's 0. Then it has special properties. Okay? 0 is its own opposite. There is no negative 0. No such thing. Okay, so I'm going to draw a number line using my line here. And I'm going to label it through 4 and -4. And my question I'm going to pose is, why is -3 the opposite of +3? And we're going to be able to prove our answer here in a drawing. And remember, you can pause this video anytime you need to as I talk and go through. Sometimes I'm too quick. Pause it and catch up. Alright, so I'm going to prove on our number line that -3 is the opposite of 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here at 0, and I'm going to make 3 jumps. 1, 2, 3 to -3. And I'm going to make 3 jumps. 1, 2, 3 to +3. And the reason they are opposites is because they are both 3 away from 0. They are the same distance from 0. And that idea of being the same distance is something that really plays into our positive and negative numbers, and it really plays into being able to graph. Alright, the next part in our notes is going to describe positive numbers and negative numbers. Positive numbers are located on a horizontal number line to the right of 0. This is going to be a kind of a lot of writing. And above 0 on a vertical number line. And this location is super important. I'm going to underline it because we do need to know the difference between horizontal number line and vertical number line. And I see kids who draw them incorrectly all the time. But don't worry about it right now. We'll have plenty of practice. Positive numbers, they also have a greater value then negative numbers. You can show a positive number with or without a sign, a plus sign. That's going to become more important when we go on to writing equations and solving equations. That plus sign or positive sign will become very, very important. And knowing that a positive number can have a positive sign, or if there is no sign in front of it, that it is also positive. I'm already out of room on my paper because I write really largely, so I have to turn to my next sheet. If you still have room, you can keep going. Now we're going to describe negative numbers. And just like the opposite of positive numbers, negative numbers are located to the left of 0 on a horizontal number line, or below 0 on a vertical number line. They have a lesser value than 0. And lesser is a word. It sounds funny when we say it. Like, it really is a word, and it really makes sense in this context. Unlike positive numbers where you can have a sign, you must show a negative number with a minus or negative sign. And again, that sign is going to become important probably in about 6 or 7 months when we start talking about adding and subtracting and solving one-step equations. Because this negative sign is also a minus sign. It's showing that there's a lesser value, or you're taking away. All right. An example of a horizontal number line means that it goes from left to right, like the horizon. And not all number lines have to have a 0 in it. You can start a number line with any number. So I'm going to do 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5. So as you can see in this example number line, the difference between each is 1/2 of a number. Oh my gosh. Okay, while you're catching up on that, the cat is crying at the door, so I've got to let the cat in because they like to interrupt me when I'm trying to video. All right, come on. Probably going to try and jump up on my video and ruin everything I'm doing. Okay, so when we are drawing a number line, this is the most important thing that I am going to tell you. Okay, not the most important thing, but one of the most important things. When you are drawing a number line, the difference between the numbers, these little arrows that I'm putting here, these are called increments or intervals. On a number line. And they must be the same. And what that means is when you are drawing a number line, you can't go from 4.5 to 5 and then have this next number be, I'm going to cover them up. You can't have these next numbers not be a half number between. You can't go from 4.5 to 5 to 6 to 8 to 8.5 to 9 to 10 to 10.5 because the amounts between have to be the same. These little tick marks are increments or intervals, and they are important and they mean something. And you have to attend to precision. They have to be the same. I'm going to give you another example, and that example is going to be on a vertical number line. And a vertical number line goes from top to bottom or up to down. And always at the top are your larger numbers, and always at the bottom are your smaller or lesser numbers. Always. I often see students still flipping their vertical number line. So, another example of increments or intervals on a vertical number line, I'm going to put 0 in the middle. And I'm going to count my increments or intervals by 5. And that's fine that I do them by 5 as long as they're all by 5. So this will be -5, -10, and -15. The space between is all by 5. They have to be the same. I'm going to give you a second example of a number line, a vertical number line. And this one is going to only have negative numbers. And I'm going to do -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. And my increments, you can see between each one is 1. I have no positive numbers. I don't even have 0, and that's okay. It just depends on what we are trying to show on our number line. And you can still see that the larger numbers are at the top and the smaller numbers are at the bottom, because -8 has a lesser or smaller value than -2. Okay, so here my intervals are 1, here my intervals are 5, my increments are intervals, and here they're half. And we can do whatever one we want depending on what we're showing. Okay? All right, one more page and then we're done. Just a few more minutes. And the word inequality is probably a word you already know. It is a way to compare numbers, and the ones that we start off with in the beginning of the year change at the end of the year. Okay, so the ones that we start off right now are less than, greater than, and equal to. Okay, so if I were to compare the number -3 and -8, I know that -3 is 3 places from 0, and -8 is 8 places from 0. Further down my number line, -3 is larger. It is worth more than -8. And we're going to talk more about that as we go along through this chapter. I just know that when we start to do some work out of our book tomorrow, they're going to ask you about inequalities, and you need to make sure you know what it is. All right, the last thing that I would like is for you to do I'm always going to leave you, most of the time, the majority of the time, at the end of our notes, I'm going to leave you with a to-do. So it's a practice problem or something that you do, and then I'll show you what the answer is tomorrow. Okay? So you do this. You try it out. And remember, it's okay if you're wrong. You're trying it. These notes, sometimes you know it, sometimes you don't know it yet. It's okay. We're trying it out. When I show you the answer tomorrow, then I'm going to expect that if it is incorrect, you fix it. Because when we make mistakes, our brains grow bigger, our neurons connect when we fix our mistakes. So, I'm going to ask you, draw a vertical number line with intervals or increments of 2, and you're going to show me the numbers from -6 to +6. See if you can try that out. Vertical number line, intervals of 2, -6 to +6. And then I'll show you tomorrow the correct way to do it. Those are your first notes for today. And you can just do it right here in the space that you have left over in your notes.